Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to save money. So before I get into the video, I think it's really appropriate when talking about anything to do with finances that people discuss kind of what their situation is, because I don't want you to compare yourself to me. I want you to take away from this video a feeling of motivation and a sense that you've kind of learned a few little tips and tricks about how to deal with your money, and know that we're all coming from a different place. We all have different amounts that we're able to physically put away, but these are just some really handy tips and tricks that I hope will help you out. Now, if you are new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I put up new videos every single week. Now, let's get into tip number one. So tip number one is to check your subscriptions and cancel any that you're not using. So I had subscribed to a number of things across various apps on my phone, whether it be a fitness challenge, a food tracker, even a Tabata timer for my workouts, and there was so many of these rolling things that I didn't want to still be coming out because I hadn't even opened those apps in months. So definitely go into your account, check on all of the outgoings, and if you've got your things in there, you know, like Netflix and Spotify that you'd rather keep using, then obviously keep those, but just bear in mind the monthly cost of a lot of other things that might have just been rolling out without you even noticing. Another way to check on this is to get a bank statement. I know a lot of them are digital these days, but it's definitely worth going through one every now and then with a fine-tooth comb and highlighting any outgoings that you just think are some strange recurring payments, because again, I had a gym membership that I had definitely cancelled, and while it was only $15 a week, it was still coming out of my account for a month after I'd cancelled. So I had to get in touch with them and provide the evidence that I had cancelled it, and it was all fine and I got the money refunded, but I wouldn't have actually noticed that it was coming out unless I checked my bank statement. Tip number two is to avoid mindless buying. And what I mean by this is it's probably time to go through your Facebook, your Instagram, and your email, and again, unsubscribe from a bunch of things that will tempt you into some mindless spending. So for me, in my inbox or even in my junk email, for example, I was getting a lot of things from fashion brands that I'd subscribed to, or they'd just taken my email data when I'd made a purchase at their store, and they constantly send things like on a Black Friday sale, there's some other random end of season sale, end of financial year, and my inbox was just constantly being flooded with these things. And I think if you get them a few times, you tend to just delete it. But when things are thrown in your face 24/7 across a bunch of different media platforms, sometimes you eventually just end up caving, browsing the site, and of course buying something that you probably didn't need or even want in the first place. Tip number three is to use loyalty cards. And what I mean by that is these little cards. So this is one that I got from my local supermarket called Woolworths, and this is their everyday rewards card. So I think a lot of different supermarkets across the world probably use these, and this gives me points every single time I shop. So you get a certain amount of points for your dollars. They also regularly send out emails where you can boost your points, so I always keep an eye out for those. And honestly, probably once a month, I get $10 off my grocery shopping. So when you think about it over a year, that's $120, which is essentially a week of free groceries for me. So I know that there is a little bit of a stigma with these kind of cards, or it might seem a little bit lame, but when you're actually saving money and accruing points on these, it can be really, really handy. So tip number four is to search for discount codes before buying anything online. And there are a few apps that can do this for you. I know there's like ShopBot, which is a price comparison website. There's also ShopTagger and ShopBack, which are apps that either give you money back on your purchases, or they can also search across the web and find if there are any discount codes for the online store where you're buying. So for me, I always do a quick Google search, or I use one of these platforms, and I just see if there's going to be like a 10 or 20% off code, or I even just wish list the item and then wait if I know that a Black Friday sale or something is coming up, because sure enough, there's going to be a discount code sooner rather than later, or there might even be a welcome code of like a 10% or something when you sign up to their email newsletter and things like that. So yeah, just keep that in mind, because you don't want to have regrets after you've just bought something and then you see that there was a discount code and you didn't use it. Tip number 5 is to sell any of your unused and unwanted items on a platform like Facebook Marketplace or Gumtree. Now, I know this can be really time consuming and there are a lot of time wasters out there, so if you're someone who's a little bit impatient, this may not be the right method for you. But another way that you could do this is to ask a friend who maybe wants to do this or works from home and would have the availability to meet up with people and give them those items, and you could offer them a little cut of the sale to do it for you. I would also suggest using Marketplace to search the item that you might be about to buy before you head to the shops, because more often than not, there's always somebody selling something that you want and they have just purchased it and not returned it in time, so they're selling it for a discounted rate and it might be completely brand new or still in the packaging. So that is another easy way to get your hands on an item that you want for a cheaper price than what you'd pay in retail. Tip number 6 is to make coffee at home as much as possible. And no, I definitely don't mean every day, because I live in Melbourne and we are basically the coffee capital of the world, probably aside from Italy. At least we like to think that. So I do love the ritual of going out and getting a coffee, but I also know that it's a real waste of money, especially because I'm lactose intolerant. So I have to get almond milk, which means an average coffee for me can cost upwards of $5. So that is $25 a week if I'm getting a coffee every single day, which I definitely do. And yeah, I just think if I can make every second coffee at home, or even if I want to have another coffee in the afternoon, that I make sure I just do that at home, then I'm saving a bunch of money. So definitely invest in something like one of these. This is what I make my home coffee in. So this is a little stovetop thing. And then I've got the coffee grounds as well. So it actually tastes delicious. It's not much of a compromise and it's saving me a lot of money every single week. Tip number 7 is to get a reusable coffee cup and a reusable water bottle. And why I would do this is because when you're out and about, it's really tempting to just buy a bottle of water from a convenience store when actually you could just carry your water bottle with you. I got this really nice stylish one online and I take this with me absolutely everywhere. I also use it on my work desk and it's got a timer on it, so it keeps me accountable for getting my water in for the day. But it also means I'm not, needlessly using plastic and contributing to landfill, and I'm also saving money. In terms of a reusable coffee cup, I got this one from Keep Cups. And this is really good because a lot of cafes often offer you a discount. So if you are still wanting to go out and grab your daily coffee, when you use a recyclable cup, they often give you 50 cents or $1 off your coffee because they're not having to provide the cup for you. So it will pay for itself in no time, because this was, I think, $25. So within a couple of weeks, I will have got my money back on this and be saving money on my future coffees. Tip number 8 is to write out a meal plan for the week and just do one grocery shop. I know this may not be possible for everybody, but this is absolutely how I do it for myself every single week. So I write out my meal plan and then develop a grocery list of that, which is my breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the 5-day week. And then on the weekends is when I get my takeaway or I just eat out and about. So this saves me from going to the supermarket every single day and doing a lot of impulse buying when I'm wandering around and feeling a bit hungry or not sure of what meals I want to make, and just buying a whole bunch of stuff that may actually not even go together when you get home, and then you end up having wastage. So I definitely recommend getting yourself a little shopping list and writing it all down as you go, because that way you also won't forget anything and you're just going to be saving money. Tip number 9 is to grow your herbs at home. So I have been waiting to do this. I got this cute new little herb pot and I needed to wait because it was winter here in Australia, but now it is summer. Everything just booms and grows when the weather is really beautiful and warm. So that's my plan, to grow a handful of things that I often use, like parsley, coriander, basil, because these things, when you buy them in the packet at the supermarket, are between $3 to $4, and I don't even need to use that whole amount. So it ends up resulting in a lot of wastage because fresh cut herbs simply just don't last very long in the fridge. So my goal is to have a nice little herb garden growing out on my balcony, which will not only save me money, but it's better for the environment because I'm just one person living alone and I don't want to be buying things and then wasting them. Tip number 10 is to buy whole foods. And by that, I mean, don't reach for the convenient ones that are the pre-chopped up veggies or the pre-mashed potato or the pre-cut up celery sticks and things like that. You will be charged a premium for these convenience kind of items because they've had to put in the extra work, package them up, and then put them out on the shelf for you. So instead, if you just buy the whole bunch of celery, or, you know, oranges that are the actual orange and not the pre-cut up ones in little plastic containers, not only are you contributing less single-use plastic into landfill, but you're actually saving money because I guarantee you they will be much cheaper when you just buy it and do it yourself. Tip number 11 is to use recyclable wraps. So this is my last roll of this cling wrap, glad wrap stuff, and I absolutely hate using this because it never even works for me anyway. But actually that is just another form of single-use plastic. So yet again, not that great for the environment, and it's just something that you constantly are spending money on when you go out and do your groceries. So instead what I replace that with are these beeswax wraps. So these are just kind of pre-sticky because you just squeeze them together and they can be washed and reused again and again and again. And I absolutely love them. So not only will it save you money in the long run, but yet again, it's just something that's better for the environment. So I got them in a bunch of different sizes and colors, and you can get them pretty much anywhere online. I've got a whole other video about a bunch of sustainable replacements in your house. If you're interested, I will link it down below. Tip number 12 is to pack your lunch for work. Now, I know this involves a little bit more effort because you might have to meal prep or organize some different foods. But the thing is, if you're doing the grocery shop for your entire week, you're already going to have planned out your lunches. So as long as you have a few items of Tupperware, you'll be able to take your lunch every single day, which again is just going to be avoiding expensive work lunches. This is something I've done for years, and so many times when I see my colleagues going out, they're struggling to find healthy options in the city, and also they're spending in excess of like $25 on lunch every single day, and that is literally my entire grocery spend for the week when you add it all up. Tip number 13 is to shop at your local fresh food market just before it closes. Now, I love a good bargain, and shopping at the end of the day is when all of the stalls are about to close down, so they want to get rid of all their fresh produce before the new week begins. So this is the best time to go to the market. There's one near me that closes at 4 o'clock, so I usually turn up there around 3 or 3:30, and I walk through all of the meat areas, the fresh fruit and veg, and more often than not, there is a bunch of things on sale and they're clearing them all out. So you can often get a bulk buy deal or just get a handful of things for a fraction of what you would have paid for them at the start of the day. Tip number 14 is for anyone who is at an expensive gym with a bunch of classes, which is like what I used to do. Now, I did do that for a 12-week challenge and I absolutely loved it, but it was costing me $60 a week, which is quite a lot to spend on a gym. And also, I just kind of fell out of love with the idea of someone else dictating the way that I would work out every single day. So now what I've joined is a 24-hour gym, which is only $12 a week. And I also do a lot of workouts off YouTube. So there are so many incredible fitness influencers on this platform. I will link a couple of my favorite ones down below, and a lot of them offer incredible 30-minute HIIT workouts. There's Pilates, yoga, there's even videos showing you how to train weights. So if you're looking for a little bit of an alternative and you want to take a break from paying for an expensive gym, then definitely just use YouTube as your resource and maybe join a local gym because it'll be a lot cheaper in the long run. Now, tip number 15 is to walk or catch public transport whenever possible. I know this isn't always a viable option and it may not be safe if it's late at night, but I'm talking about all of those times when you are probably in the city and you just need to get across the other side of town and you think, I'll just jump in an Uber. Well, that Uber's probably cost you $15, which is money that you could have been spending on books or your groceries or simply putting away in savings. So not only will walking give you some incidental exercise, but public transport is often free in CBDs, or is certainly a lot cheaper when you're traveling around than jumping in an Uber every single time you need to go somewhere. Tip number 16 is to shop for quality and not quantity. And what I mean by this is the older I get, the more I am stepping away from indulging in fast fashion, because some of those clothing items, although they might be really on trend for the moment, they just don't last past a couple of washes. So there's kind of no point point when you just need a white top and you're going to buy something that will be pilling or really just falling apart or looking discolored after a few wears. These days, I'm much more willing to make an investment on clothing if I know that it's going to last me, especially when you're building up staple items in your wardrobe, because you don't want to have to constantly replace them because they're simply not lasting the distance. Tip number 17 is to automate your life. And what I mean by this is to set up as many direct debits as physically possible to get on top of all of your bills, on top of your savings, and that way you'll just be left with an amount that is your spending amount instead of constantly digging into savings to cover expenses. For me, I have about 5 different bank accounts. I've got a business one, a savings one, my personal one, and out of these I have different things come out, like I've got my phone bill on direct debit, I have a lot of my utilities on debit, I've got my car loan just rolling out as a fortnightly repayment. So I know that all of these things are covered. So there's not going to be too many things that pop up that are unexpected expenses because I've already got them all automated and rolling out on a regular schedule. Tip number 18 is to check the interest rate on your savings account. So I guess by now we all probably know that putting your savings in a bank is not exactly the best way to make a return on investment, though it is one of the safest. So I understand why many of us have a savings account, but it's definitely good to shop around every now and then and make sure you're getting a competitive deal, because if you have a decent sum of money in there, upwards of 5 to 10 grand, then you'll be able to make better on it with a higher interest rate. So have a look around at what other banks are offering, talk to your bank and see if they have any different accounts that might have a higher rate for you. Perhaps you could put your money away in a term deposit if you didn't need to access it. And that way you'll be making more on your money while it's just sitting there in your savings account. Tip number 19 is to look at grouping your policies. So a lot of us probably have our health insurance, our car insurance, maybe even some home insurance, and they're probably all with different providers that you would have just signed up with at the time and kind of set and forget. Well, I'm telling you now, you don't want to set and forget this, because so many things can change in our personal lives, like our circumstances might be completely different. And for me, when I moved house and looked into my car insurance policy, because my new building was much more secure and had a lock-up garage, my car insurance went down by almost $100 a year because there wasn't as much risk as before when I was parking it out on the street. Similarly, my health insurance, my needs were a lot different now than they were 5 years ago when I first signed up for that policy. So I just called them to check, and I ended up saving myself $10 a fortnight off my policy because I was paying for a bunch of extras that I simply didn't need. Tip number 20 is to try the no spend challenge for a day. So what I mean by this is leave your wallet at home, obviously take a card out with you for any emergencies, but the idea is to spend $0 for a day and challenge yourself to not make any impulse buys and not spend a single cent. Just exist with what you've got around your home in terms of food, in terms of anything you might need for the day, and encourage some people around you to do the same so that you can keep each other accountable. You might even want to try and do a no spend week or a no spend day every single week. Now, last but not least is tip number 21, and that is your money mindset. And what I mean by this is a lot of us have limiting beliefs and things that we tell ourselves which are really negative, like I'm broke, I'm poor, I'm never gonna make money, I can't save any money. And a lot of these things are what you're feeding to your unconscious. So internally, you are already having this bias about money and not feeling at all like you'll ever have enough. So what you want to have instead is a really abundant money mindset, and to think how you can save money, how you can constantly be thrifty, and remember that just because you're earning more doesn't mean you should spend more. I think a lot of people fall into this trap the second they get a pay rise. They just rush out and spend it all because it's really exciting, and you might upgrade your car or move into a new apartment, and all of a sudden you're completely back where you started on your last pay raise. So you don't want to just be spending everything you earn and constantly upgrading your life. It's good to just be happy with what you've got, and that way you'll have more to put into your savings, and when you get the next bump up, then you can go around and upgrade a few things. But don't rush out and spend it all at once. So that is it for today's video and my 21 tips for saving money. I would love to hear yours, so if you have any to add to the list, please leave them in the comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe and give this video a big thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.